the Open Meetings Act posted in the northwest corner of the room. And to begin, we will ask to join us in rising for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I'll start by taking roll. Greenquist.
Here.
Arns.
Here.
Merrill. Weeblehouse.
Here.
Murin.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Clausen.
Here.
Hildebrand.
Here.
Again, in the absence of the mayor and the president of the council, I would look for a motion to elect an acting president pro tem.
Move for Councilman Clausen.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Greenquist.
Yes.
Arns.
Yes.
Weeblehouse.
Yes.
Murin.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Clausen.
Yes.
Hildebrand.
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Motion carries.
All right. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved?
Second.
All right, roll call.
Greenquist.
Yes.
Arns.
Yes.
Weeblehouse.
Yes.
Murin.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Clausen.
Yes.
Hildebrand.
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Motion carries.
I should need a motion to approve the full agenda.
So move.
Second?
Roll call.
Greenquist.
Yes.
Arns.
Yes.
Weeblehouse.
Yes.
Murin.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Clausen.
Yes.
Hildebrand.
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Motion carries.
All right, that brings us to public hearing and related action. The public hearing to receive a report on the findings and suggestions from the Economic Development Cities Advisory Review Committee as required by state status section 18-2715. Randy, I'll direct that to you.
Yes. Statutes, as you mentioned, require Citizens Advisory Review Committee for cities with LB 840 programs. The citizens serving on Norfolk Scarp are Cindy Morrow, Brandon Day, Aaron Otten, Jan Einspar, and Kathy Means. I serve as an ex officio non-voting member. Statutes require the CARC meet at least once in every 6-month period and report their findings to the council and suggestions at a public hearing called for that purpose. And that's the purpose of this hearing tonight. The Citizens Advisory Review Committee met on December 7th, and their report concludes that the city's LB 840 program is operating in compliance with the budget and voter-approved economic development plan. At that meeting, they went through the CARC checklist that they review every meeting. They reviewed the funding of the city's current economic development fund. As of October 31, the fund had almost $662,000 of cash. Approximately $374,000 of that will be spent on debt service, and $75,000 is being held for our match for the USDA revolving loan fund grant. And after this and some other minor expenditures, we'll have about $200,000 remaining in the program that we can use for other LB 840 projects. This was last year that collecting property taxes, so there should be very little revenue coming into the fund other than payment of some delinquent property taxes. As I mentioned, this fund's providing the match for the USDA revolving loan fund. We had 5 businesses that explored the program during the last 6 months, but it ended up not needing financing or decided not to pursue their business venture. We're partnering with the Northeast Nebraska Economic Development District to administer this program. We also had an update provided by Economic Development staff at the meeting to the Citizens Committee. That talked about several things, including Bradford Business Park and the number of businesses that have offered assistance to during the past year, and all the housing being built in the town, and the retail strategies study that was presented. The results of that study, I was kind of surprised. They show our biggest need is more restaurants and bars. As I said, the clerk found that the city's economic development program is operating in compliance with the budget and voter-approved economic development plan. Answer any questions?
We'll be closing the public hearing, and now we're going to be opening the hearing for item number 21. Public hearing at the request of Barry A. Brown and Tricia L. Bethune to consider a zoning change from A, Agriculture District to R1, Single Family Residential District on properties addressed as 5910, 5000, and 5002 West Benjamin Avenue. Any discussion? Yeah, Val, that'll be going to you.
Yeah, I will introduce this. Thank you. This zone change, it is 3 small properties that are just west of 49th Street on Benjamin. They are, like it says, ag zoned right now. The total 3 combined is less than an acre. And so the owners would like to build a new garage, and this would allow them to have more reasonable setbacks than ag zoned setbacks. And there are 2 houses with 1 septic tank currently. The intention is to eventually get that down to 1 house, and then they would replat this into one lot, which would make it complying then. So this is the first step in trying to get this into compliance.
So they don't plan on putting 4 houses out there then, or 3 or whatever, how many addresses we had listed there? It's just gonna be one like a rural residential, or?
Well, it will eventually be 1 house on 1 lot, but right now there are 2 houses on 2 lots and a mobile home that is coming off of the 3rd lot. And they are not large enough combined together to be a rural residential because they don't make up 1 acre, which is why an R1 zoning is more appropriate for the size.
Thank you.
What was the planning commission report?
The Norfolk Planning Commission held a public hearing on December 8th, 2020 to consider a zoning change from A, Agricultural District to R1, Single Family Residential District on properties addressed as 4910, 5000, and 5002 West Benjamin Avenue. The Planning Commission recommends approval of the request with a 9-0 vote.
Thank you. This time we will be closing the hearing, and will now be asking for a motion on first reading to consider ordinance number, what's? Oh, sorry. Any more discussion? I'm sorry. I'm acting like I'm in a hurry, it seems like. I'm ready to get back to my old seat.
Moving right along there.
Seeing none? Okay, seeing none, we'll be closing this hearing, and we'll be asking for a motion on first reading for consideration of ordinance number 5714, approving a zoning change from A, Agriculture District to R1, Single Family Residential District on properties addressed as 4910, 5000, and 5002 West Benjamin Avenue.
Your Honor, I'd move for consideration of ordinance number 5714.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, we were looking for a short title.
An ordinance of the City of Norfolk, Madison County, Nebraska, amending the zoning district map of the City of Norfolk, Nebraska, providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect, and providing for the publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Okay, roll call.
Rehnquist,
Yes.
Arns,
Yes.
Weebelhaus,
Yes.
Uren,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Clausen,
Yes.
Hildebrand.
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Ordinance number 5714 carries on first reading.
Your Honor, I'd move for suspension of the rules and pass ordinance 5714 on second and third, as there appears to be no opposition.
I would second that.
All right. Any discussion? Seeing none, we ask for roll call.
Granquist?
Yes.
Arns?
Yes.
Weeblehouse?
Yes.
Murin?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Clausen?
Yes.
Hildebrand?
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Ordinance number 5714 carries on second and third.
All right, that brings us to our regular agenda. At this time, we ask for a motion to consider for item number 23, the consideration of approval of a change order number 5F and a certificate of substantial completion with JJK Construction LLC for the 2019 Norfolk Bridge Repair project, resulting in a net decrease of $18,173.46. Steve, you'll be the key man on this.
Your
Council,
Honor, I'd make the motion for consideration.
Sure.
Second?
Okay, now we'll go to discussion with Steve.
thanks, Council. This is the final change order 5F, for the contract with JJK for the bridge repairs on North First, Benjamin Avenue, and Maple. As most of the community is aware, there was a substantial delay there in the end to get them back and do the final repairs on Benjamin Avenue. So there were 24 liquidated damage days, or days of liquidated damages on that at $500. That's a $12,000 total deduct. And then to kind of assist that in getting that contract back and getting that closed up, the city self-performed a little over $6,000 in terms of pavement removal and some other stuff out there, just to kind of help speed that up in the end. So $18,173.46 total deduct, bringing the total contract for that to $683,317.93. Our budget for that project was right at $700,000. So overall, we got it in on budget, under budget there a little bit.
All right, anything else? Thank you, Steve. Seeing no more discussion, I would ask for roll call.
Granquist?
Yes.
Arns?
Yes.
Weeblehouse?
Yes.
Murin?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Clausen?
Yes.
Hildebrand?
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Motion carries.
All right, next thing, we've been asking for a motion for item number 24, consideration of approval of a letter agreement amendment number 1 to the engineering contract for construction design services with Olson Inc. for the sanitary sewer rehabilitation 2020 project for an amount not to exceed $36,524.
So move.
Second.
All right, again, we'll be directing this discussion towards Steve.
Mayor and Council, for several years here, since about 2012 or so, we've been carrying a project in our capital improvement plan to repair or replace this section of sanitary sewer in the city. This is on the lower end of the sewer system. It starts there at Omaha and Corporation Gulch, follows Corporation Gulch down until it's approximately in line with Northwestern Avenue, and then extends east to Northwestern Avenue and 4th roughly, and then runs down 4th to Monroe. It starts as a 30-inch on the north end of that system and transitions to a 36-inch sanitary sewer line about in the middle of that. We've been looking at a concept of what we call slip lining, which is pulling a collapsed pipe through that and then expanding that pipe. And that was kind of the basis of hiring a consultant, was to design a system, that type of a replacement pipe system. After bringing Olson's on board, we went out there and did some additional video work and looked at that with the assistance of our consultant team, and determined that a slip lining was not going to be an option for that line. So then we looked at a couple other options. One of them is called cure-in-place pipe, or just a replacement, putting a parallel pipe in the ground. In the end, those two came up right about the same cost.
construction cost of about $1.2 million on those. Plus there'd be some engineering and permitting costs and stuff in there. So the project has grown from what we originally hired the design team to focus on. It is a major piece of our storm sewer system. It handles about 25% of our total load on the bottom end of the system. It is currently a corrugated metal pipe, which would be, you'd see through very typical pipe that we use in our, as a culvert through approaches. So they're a 36-inch CMP and a 36-inch CMP, and then they've got a coal lining to our coal tar lining to them. What's going on there is that coal tar lining is starting to fail and pull off in small chunks, large chunks. It gets down into our sewer plant and is starting to disrupt, has the potential to do substantial disruption to our sewer treatment operation. So it is very desirous to, to get a project done as soon as we can. Looking at the recommendations back from Olson, we feel it is, since it's about the same cost, I think it was within probably $30,000 between a CIPP project and just installing a new project. We feel that we're going to be dollars ahead to install an entirely new pipe parallel to the existing pipe. That should give us probably 100 years worth of service on it versus the CMP pipe here. We're just approaching 50 years of service on, which is pretty minimal in the world of sewer infrastructure. So with that, that contract has grown. The design services associated with it are growing. With this contract amendment, it brings our percentage of cost to about 7.5%. We were at about 6.5% under the CIPP, but it's still a very reasonable cost for design services.
Thanks, Steve. Any other? Oh, go ahead.
Going forward on this pipeline, that's kind of right there towards the end of 8th Street where we have drainage issues anyway. Is that going to help to tie into that? Can you hear me all right? Is that going to help to tie into that going down the road with this project?
Well, this is a sanitary sewer project, and I think what you're referring to is a storm project. Okay. And that storm sewer issue on 8th in Michigan is currently being studied.
Okay.
Steve, is this more or less a collector type line or a force main or?
This would be one of our, it would be larger than a collector. We don't have too many systems that tie into this. We've got some industry right down there on the south side of Omaha that ties into it. There might be some stuff on the downstream side there on Northwestern tying into it. I think one of the advantages here, we are going to look at some realignment of this potentially as we talk to the railroad and work through some of the potential permitting questions that'll come up on this. We might look to do some realignment and reduce some footage, reduce some cost, and then I think that would also take some smaller users that are currently connected to that off the system, which is beneficial in kind of a sewer main, sewer interceptor type main.
Thank you.
Steve, that picture that you had previously, is that the amount of area that goes into this pipe? The green shaded area?
Yes.
Okay. So that portion of the community all drains down into this one single line.
Yes. The other thing I would note, since you've got this up here, is where that line comes in. From that point, from the bottom end of that green area, there is an additional, I think there's a 21-inch CMP coal tar line that runs down to where this 30-inch picks up that we're going to replace right now. That we're going to be looking at that here this next year and getting a CIP project in place for that segment. And then there's another segment of larger between where we're ending this one and the plant. So we have two more areas of this CMP that we'd like to get out of our system in the next 5 years, probably.
Any other discussion? Guess we know it flows downhill. I ask for roll call.
Grandquist,
Yes.
Arns,
Yes.
Weeblehouse,
Yes.
Murin,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Boston.
Yes.
Hildebrand. All council members present voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
That brings us to our end of our meeting, but our public comment period this evening. We would ask if there's anybody here who'd like to come up and speak at this time. They do. We are asking that we limit each conversation to 5 minutes. So please come forward at this time.
Yeah, looks like a troublemaker.
Maybe we'll let this guy talk for a little longer.
Longer than 5 minutes. I know again, I would like to say, I wanted to be here last meeting, but something came up that way, but I really appreciated working with each and every one of you. Look forward to Frank and Court, as you progress along here in the next 4 years that way. I want to say thank you in particular to the staff who over the 20 years really helped me out a whole lot that way, but it was great working with all of you, and just wanted to say thank you, and thought I needed to do it in person. So.
Did you have him log in?
What's that?
Did you have him log in?
Oh, yeah. Please sign it.
You know. Okay.
Well, before you sit down, Jim, I'd just like to let you know that it was an honor to serve with you also on here. You learned a lot from you. When I was first put on council, learned one of the most important things I did learn from you was not to rush to a decision and take everybody's comments in and digest it before you do make a decision. I was always very impressed with how you did that, and I know I helped contribute to some of those gray hairs, but again, thanks a lot for everything that you've done for this community. You've served this community. Am I right when I say 20 years on council?
20 on council.
21 on council?
20 on council.
Okay, then that doesn't include planning and zoning, though.
No,
How many years were you on planning and zoning?
10 at planning and zoning. So.
Wow.
I had red hair when I started.
Yeah.
So.
That's a lot of service to this community, and it's greatly appreciated. And I can speak for maybe the people that I know on this council, and maybe not some of the new guys on here, but a lot of respect for you, Jim, and I think the staff would say the same thing.
He always
So,
was willing to take a phone call and answer your questions. I know when I first started, I'd call him probably about once a week. If he didn't answer, he'd call me back. He was always willing to talk to me, and I appreciated that more than anybody would know. So, thank you.
I'd echo that stuff, Jim. It's been a pleasure sitting next to you, even though I couldn't understand everything you were yelling at me about. Maybe I was just mumbling under your voice and I was catching it. I'm not sure. It was usually about Shane, I believe. But, no.
that's usually when the pin went down like that.
I do appreciate it. I mean, we wouldn't know how to make a motion to move on second and third without you. But or fourth and fifth, or Gary. No, in the same respect, when I started and sit next to Jim and helping us learn some of these sitting in subcommittee meetings with him and city council meetings, it's been a great pleasure. Especially somebody who's had 31 years of community service. That's excellent. Definitely be missed. Frank's got big shoes to fill.
Yep.
Well, not yours, but he's got somebody.
It'll be challenging for all, it always is. It never changes. Good luck. Keep the snow away.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Yeah, I see that.
Clear in the back. Clear in the back.
Okay.
And you don't, I'm gonna keep trying.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine.
Excuse me.
They're gonna ask me to have you sign in quick, and then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Tyler Robinson. I'm with Advanced Climate Control. I'm here today to bring to your attention the fact that right now there are 6 construction permits that are being produced by the city of Norfolk, dealing all in 2020, 2020, 920, 928, 925, 931, 934, and 937. We've been in contact with the City of Norfolk Building Department, Steve Norshuse, and he has made it clear that these documents are legal documents. There are inaccuracies in these documents. So in other words, the City of Norfolk has been producing inaccurate legal documents. Advanced Climate Control is currently listed as the mechanical contractor on these documents. We have not produced any work or provided any services at 501 David Circle, 503 David Circle, 505 David Circle, 507 David Circle, 1202 Sunrise Drive, or 1204 Sunrise Drive. The City of Norfolk was notified of these inaccuracies on November 5th, 2020. A representative from Advanced Climate Control contacted the office of the City of Norfolk Building Department to inform officials that Advanced Climate Control was not associated with these construction of these single-family dwellings. A second attempt was made by Advanced Climate Control's insurance representative on November 12th, 2020. A third attempt was made on November 18th. We contacted the mechanical inspector, Paul Sears, and he said he was aware of the situation and that he was taking care of it. On November 20th, which had been Friday evening, Advanced Climate Control has documented evidence that there was still mechanical construction on these sites. Per Norfolk Building Code, Article Section 112, 6-112, mechanical contractor and gas contractor transferability of registration, or 6109.2, mechanical contractor certificate of insurance, mechanical work on these properties should have ceased in early November. So, to restate that, the City of Norfolk has produced 6 fraudulent legal documents stating that Advanced Climate Control is credited with the construction on these sites. Definition.
So let me stop here so
Yeah.
we can get some clarification here. Okay, so you've gone through this. Now, what I'm going to ask you is, so you're saying you never pulled the original permits?
We never pulled the permits.
So there was another company saying they're you?
Must be.
And so now we're trying to figure out the details. Can I get some clarification here?
So I have heard about this from the beginning, and I mean, some of you are contractors, so you understand the process. On residential, it is generally the developer who turns in the building permit, the plumbing, the mechanical, the electrical, all in one time, and they pay for it. And that is what happened at this time for these residential projects out in Legacy Bend. And at that time, Advanced Climate Control, according to the developer, was the mechanical contractor on this. And so it was issued under that, just as if they were the contractor that had done the previous work also. Now, I can't say what happened between the developer and Advanced Climate or anything like that. That's none of my business. But what did come to our attention was that the contractor had changed, and that happens on a regular basis, that in between, builders, plumbers, anybody can change in between.
Mm-hmm.
And what we did was what we do on all the other ones, is we have the utility permit that is under Advanced Climate Control initially, because that is how the building permit was actually provided. And so that is the name that it needs to stay under legally. But in the notes section, we have Advanced Climate Control applied for a permit on 9/12/2020 as part of the developer turned that in. As of 10/28/2020, Full Circle Services took over the mechanical work. Advanced Climate Control is no longer part of this job as of 10/28/20. All HVAC work on this project was performed by Full Circle Services. And this Full Circle Services is registered with a journeyman contractor, because this person was registered as a journeyman prior. And so we accepted that prior. And so they have the certificate of insurance as Full Circle Service, and they have a journeyman mechanical person that has tested. We have the reciprocal licensure.
Okay,
from
so you have a licensed HVAC contractor working on the job now, and now, but the general changed?
1 sec,
The
can I add to that?
general-
Just one second, I just gotta get,
Yes, the general
the
said.
person that you were working for is not the general anymore.
1 second.
No,
What
it
is
is
the
the
name of the
same.
general?
The owner is Innate Development. It is Legacy Bend.
And the construction contract is Full Circle Service? Because the general is the general is now the mechanical contract. Full Circle Services is the construction
So
company.
he started, they're doing it with their own journal, and,
Okay, so that's
So
not a
what-
problem
now
to me,
you-
it makes no difference to me. Here is what,
so if you're
here,
dropped from the permit, what are you concerned about?
I'm not dropped from the permit because your footnote says Advanced Climate Control applied for a permit on 9/12. Advanced Climate Control never applied for the permit. The
He did.
owner of Innate Development, which owns Full Circle Services, applied for the permit,
Correct.
and then they changed it to theirs. So I never applied for a permit.
No, you didn't.
Okay, as of 10/28, so between 9/12 and
But you
10/28,
do realize
what
though
would
that
have
on the
happened?
building permits for residential, the contractor fills that out.
Yeah, I understand,
They fill it out and put a number in that you kind of basically agreed upon. They pay the fee,
Yeah.
and they move forward with the construction. And in that process, had it happened before, you might hire a different HVAC contractors, they're either too busy or something falls out, and then you fill them in that, and then
yeah.
you just keep moving forward. So I'm not quite
I'm fine with
understanding
that. I just want to create separation, like, so,
why?
because I'm
She just
afraid.
said she just
the
said that
quality-
you're,
Yeah, as of 10/28. So
but it's not on you anymore.
what
So
happened between 9/12 and 10/28?
Did you perform
I did
any?
not perform any work.
Yeah, and they dropped you off the permit, right?
Yes, the
So
note
you-
said.
If you're, because I think I understand where you're coming from. You're worried about
I'm worried
quality
about
of work
insurance
and your
fraud
name and.
lining up
yes.
later, and,
Yep,
that's
yep.
all I'm worried about. So where it still says applicant, Advanced Climate Control, can we get that changed to Full Circle Services? And as of 9/12, not 10/28,
Just take you up there
just
altogether.
completely take me off any of it. I don't care if you put a blank line. I don't want to be attached to it.
I understand,
at all.
I understand where you're coming from. I can't tell you what we can, but I will direct
Yeah.
that to Val.
Well, I
This-
can tell you, based on what I've read, is that if I don't pursue this to the end,
Uh-huh.
it's called insurance neglect, and then my insurance is no longer liable. The only person liable would be me
Okay.
moving forward.
Yep.
And speaking to my insurance agent, my next step moving forward, if this is not changed by soon tomorrow,
Yeah.
my next step would be to file a claim of insurance fraud with Nationwide Insurance against the city of Norfolk, and I don't want any of that.
Yeah.
I want to stay as far away from that as I can.
Gotcha. So you had a bad split, want to move forward
Yeah.
and get away. Okay, so do you want off that permit altogether, I guess?
Well,
If-
this is how we've done it before and
Mm-hmm.
how the legal has told us to do it for years, is the permit was actually issued this way,
Mm-hmm.
and so we can't actually change the main person, which is why we do the note section that specifically says all HVAC work on this project was performed by Full Circle Services.
I have reason to
but
believe I was filed or fired completely previous and misled
Yeah.
to the fact that I was gonna do the job previous to September 12th. I have
Sure.
reason to believe that, and I would just like to get away from the situation.
Val, I
I
think,
don't wanna explain it anymore.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I think his discussion is really the 9/12 to the 10/28. So he didn't, it says as of 10/28. He's saying he never even stepped foot on any property, any help since 9/12, so it should be as of beginning of the
Well,
project.
Yeah, I only have,
Here's the thing with the
That's where it is.
9/28 though, is because 10/28 is when we actually registered the other contractor, because they were not registered at that time because they were a new,
yeah. Well,
company.
I can tell you as of 10/20, 1020? I have pictures that there is ductwork installed in the house. So if that contractor wasn't registered until after that, he should not have been doing work under my insurance in my name at that address.
There was also inspections done on 1027.
Yeah, there was an inspection done on 1027. So if he wasn't registered until 1028, there shouldn't have been an inspection done on 1027.
A lot of times you gotta understand, they don't really know.
I do, just,
When
I do
they'll
agree,
get a
but I
phone
can't-
call
I
to
can't
come
have
in and
my
do
name
a,
attached
I
to
just,
it.
hold on, they get a phone call to come in to look at the rough ends. They head out and look at the rough ends, and if nobody from if nobody had contacted and said,
Yeah.
you're not there anymore, they're just assuming the work's being done and they approve the work.
Me too,
so
and
the
I was
project can move
assuming I was
forward.
still doing the work until mid-October when I started getting calls from my suppliers that somebody was trying to impersonate my business.
Yeah, so I think there's, what's going on here, you got some issues going on with the guy, your own issues with that situation.
Exactly. And it
And
has
so you're
nothing to
angry
do with
about
me.
that, and you're trying to get yourself off of this deal, and I think what Val's saying, though, is you have no liability whatsoever on this whatsoever. You're clear and done. It says the new
Right.
contractor's taken over.
Yes, it says.
You guys create it, you guys change the dates, just write 9/12 on there. I was not involved with it until 9/12. You guys, change my name. Take it off there, put a blank space. I don't care. Do not put my name on any of the documents, and the ones that are here, void.
Yeah.
Completely. I think that's not unreasonable. I just want to get away from it.
Yeah, so no money was exchanged between you and the
No
developer?
money was exchanged,
You never
ever.
put any money in for the permit cost?
Did not.
No, okay. So I don't think what you're asking is unreasonable, but
Well,
And perhaps you could draft the letter,
Yeah,
Yeah.
a letter would be good, yes,
And-
a
and-
formal letter.
just address the fact that, to your knowledge, that no work has been done from the date of that,
well,
without changing your documents.
we did supply
Yeah.
these permits, these updated permits to them.
They're
It
in there. You
says
can read the
all
footnotes.
HVAC work on this
I will-
project was performed by Full Circle Services. So that sentence alone says they
Yeah.
did no work. And at some time between 9/12 and 10/28, something happened with that relationship between the
No.
developer
No,
and
the
them.
guy that's doing that used to work for me, and they hired him, and that was in August. They hired him in August.
And they filled out the permit on September 12th?
He worked for me, so Paul thought he still worked for me.
So here's how, we'll leave it in your court. We've tried to stop the ball from rolling
Yep.
as fast as we can. We've tried to contact the contractor, tried to contact the building department. Like I said, our next step forward is through Nationwide to document this. And that's all, that's
Well-
all we have left.
I'll tell you what,
What isn't documented?
What?
What isn't documented? It says right there that you perform no,
Right, but there's a 6-week gap. I could do all these houses within that 6 weeks. There's a 6-week gap and an inspection before October 28th.
I understand that, but it says you did none of it.
So just
According
put
to
that
who?
on there, take all the dates off.
According to the permit that she's reading from.
So if that's good enough, why can't you just change it all? Why can't you take my name off it completely?
Well,
I'll tell you one
That's where
thing,
we get the mix-up here, is it
Yeah.
does say all work, none of the work was done by them,
right.
but I think he has a legitimate thing here where there's a picture, just a minute, yep, you'll have to be up here to talk anyway. Is the 6-week gap, and they have proof that there was an inspection and that there was work before this date, which in a way falls back on them. So I think we should come up with some sort of plan idea. Obviously, we can't act on anything on that.
no,
This
I
is
was just
public
gonna
comment.
state that we can't,
We can't act today.
can't act on it.
But,
Yeah, I understand.
but it is something that we need to look into, I think, because I think he has a legitimate, I don't wanna call it,
Yeah.
I don't know what word to use, it's not excuse, but he has a legitimate reason to be here with a 6-week gap, knowing there's been work and inspection done before the 28th.
Well, and I'll just let you know too, that we received these applications July 10th. So if he was still planning on doing work in August, that is why it went to advanced climate control when it was passed, because we got these in July.
I can believe that.
And
but-
so that is why their name was on it, and why we've tried to do for them exactly what we've done for others in changing the permit, so that there is no liability on them, but we're not changing a legal document.
But still, when you
But
look
there-
up that permit, my name's still at the top of it.
There is that 6-week window. I'd agree with Councilman Granquist that that's a 6-week window for him that he's concerned about. So there's some way we can work with him to
And in that
do it
6-week
legal.
window, there was work done?
That there was work done and he didn't do it. I
Right.
think he's, I
The house was rough and
I would
inspected
think
and
he'd
in
be a little
drywall
concerned,
within
so
that 6-week window.
there's some way to work out that 6-week window for him and add an addendum. I mean, I think between you and legal could do that.
I don't
If
know.
you-
I just want it, I don't,
Well,
you know, I'm in the business of doing heating and air. I'm not in the, you know, fighting legal battles. I just want away from it. Because I see a train wreck coming, honestly. The contractor that's doing the work and the journeyman he has doing the work are unqualified. He
I don't
just
know if
failed
we
the
should, we
test.
probably don't want to go into any more discussion about the individual. But you can sure talk about your issue at hand of getting off the permit, but I don't know if you want to talk about the individual performing the work right now in this sort of format. Okay?
Well, if I'm being attached to the work, why can I not talk about that work? You're attaching my name to that quality of work. To that
I understand where you're coming from, but it's just a matter of,
Yeah. No,
I'm looking out for you, not,
Okay, you have my
I'm looking out for you,
documentation.
not,
You have my documentation.
Yep.
Will you try and correct it as fast as you can?
I think that's the recommendation from these two gentlemen right here. We can't make any, decisions tonight or, but we
Yeah.
can sure.
Okay. So
You
what-
brought it to,
what
you
do I
brought it
do-
to the attention.
What do I do moving forward then? What are my steps?
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure we'll be contacting you.
Okay.
The city will be contacting you and
Okay.
discussing what has transpired from tonight's discussion.
Yeah.
I will
Phone numbers
work
and-
with the city attorney to see what she recommends. Like I said, this was the recommendation that we've been going down the road for years. We'll take a look at it and see what we can come up with as to what her recommendation is, and
I don't-
we'll move forward from
I
there.
want to thank you. I don't fault you on the recommendation that you had at hand, because that's how it's always been. I think tonight we've kind of come to hear a little more of the backstory of maybe why there's so much animosity towards this situation.
Correct.
So,
If I can make another recommendation to the council, could you consider a 3-tier mechanical licensing system rather than a 2-tier mechanical licensing system? All right. Is that, thank you.
It's all
Thank you
stuff
for
we-
your time.
yep, thanks. All right.
I'm Larry Bender from Lindsay, Nebraska, and I'm here to present to the council here, Roscoe Rodriguez. He lives on 1200 West Prospect Avenue, Norfolk here, and I belong to Platte Valley Pigeon Club, and we got members in Schuyler, Nebraska, Columbus, Nebraska, Norfolk, O'Neill, Madison, and we all fly pigeons. And I don't know, 99% of people do not know what flying pigeons is about. You got to you raise them as youngsters, and you start out, and you fly them as young birds, and once they're at your place, they land on your loft, and they do not bother nobody else. You might have one stray one, maybe fly on somebody's house once in a while, but you train him so he comes back down. But it's quite a hobby. We race them as they get 5-6 months old. In August, we start racing them. We race them 100, 200, 300 miles. Different race like 125, 150, 200, and 250, and 300. And then they get the year old. You take them out to, you'll take them 100, 200, 300, 400. And as you get older, we take them at the combine. We have 2 600-mile races from Fort Worth, Texas. We got 2 500-mile races from Gainesville, Texas, and 2 400-mile races. And that's a combine race. And clubs from Sioux City, Iowa, Nebraska, flying at Omaha, Nebraska, got a club. And then we got a Cornhusker club in Lincoln, Nebraska, and a club out of North Platte, Nebraska, in our club. So we've got 5 clubs. We all meet and we fly these birds. And the fly birds at the competition, what I understand, you have an ordinance right now, a feathered ordinance. I don't know what it really is. I didn't read yours. I talked to Corey, and I give some other people I don't know, Corey, give you some other information, and I got some booklets and stuff up here for you guys to look at. If you want to look at it, I'll let it lay here. But you got an ordinance, you can only have 4 birds. And they consider that as pigeons or chickens or whatever. And these pigeons do not make no noise, and there's no way you can race and compete in pigeons with 4 pigeons. Usually send, 15, 20 to a race. And so you gotta raise more than that pigeons you gotta have. So what I'd like to do is ask the city council to make an amendment or something that we could have pigeons in the city of Norfolk. All the other big cities have pigeons. Like I named all the cities: Sioux City, Omaha, Lincoln, North Platte, Schuyler, all the towns around here do. And I just asked if you guys would consider, for Rodriguez to get a permit here to raise pigeons and fly pigeons and whoever else. We've got a lot of new members coming in of that origin that want to fly, and that's what a lot of them are doing, and would sure appreciate if you guys would pick this up and pass it, yeah.
So, Mr. Bender, how many pigeons are we talking?
Pardon?
They're coming from me, sorry.
Okay.
How many pigeons are you said our ordinance says you have 4 birds, but how many would you need to fly competitively?
Oh, you probably, to fly successfully, you probably need close to 50.
50 pigeons?
Yeah. I live out on the farm, and I probably got 200.
Yeah, sure.
But, I live out on the farm, and most people in towns have anywhere from probably 30 to 60 to 70, and probably 90% that live in town. Yeah.
How many people in the city of Norfolk are members of your club?
Well, none of them right now, but there's a couple of them that'd like to join. But that's why I'm presenting this here. I'm a member of the Platte Valley Club, and I thought I'd help him out. He doesn't speak English, so I thought I'd talk to you guys. I know more about it than there, so I thought I'd ask you guys to do it. But I'm sure if he gets in, there'll be more members. I know there'll be more members flying in Norfolk here. And they're starting. We got a new one in Madison. Yeah, they're just they want to join, and they're waiting to hear from you guys so we could get stuff on the road and get going. It's quite a, it's just like football. It's just like it's gambling. I mean, it's a sport. And it's very rewarding. It's just to win a race, to beat everybody else. It's something great. I mean, it's like anything else. You grow up with it. You get it once, and it's in your blood.
Chief?
Yeah.
Chief, you had something you want to?
I don't have a conversation other than I know you were probably told 4 pigeons at one time. Our current city code restricts fowl and pigeons, so the 0, there is no number 4. That refers to dogs and cats. So I think you may have been told that at one time, somebody brought that up, but that refers to dogs and cats, not pigeons. Just to clarify that for everybody.
Okay.
So, just question, so these pigeons are kept in a cage, wherever they're gonna be?
Pardon?
You keep them in a cage?
Yeah, there's a shed. Yeah. And
Okay.
That shed, these homing pigeons, once you get them in that shed, then you call it a loft. A loft. Once they get that loft, that's their home. You raise them there, and they get their food, the water there, and they come there all the time. And when we chip them on these races, you put chips on their legs, and you take them to the clubhouse and you chip them. They know which bird went, and that chip goes to their band number on the other leg. And they come across and they walk across a little pad, and that tells you what bird comes home first. And
I'd be concerned about the sanitariness. Do you clean up after them?
Yeah.
I know what the wild pigeons do.
Clean your loft.
around my
No,
house.
they're not shitting around like they shit in the loft and maybe on the roof when they stand. Yeah, they do that. Yeah, they're not like the people and the pigeons around town that crap all over the sidewalks. Excuse my language.
All right, I got you. Okay.
I'm just a farm boy.
I get it. No, I get it. Thank you.
That flows downhill too.
Maybe explain, you talked to me a little bit about this, but maybe explain what kind of housing or what they live in or what the.
Okay.
I'm just trying to help you explain everything you explained to me when we were talking, because I said, if you want.
Okay. Yeah, I got mine in a lot of just little old brooder houses, and you need a shed about, 16 or 20 foot long by 8 foot wide is about what it takes now. That house probably, your 40, 50, 60 pigeons.
How tall is this?
Probably 8 to 10 foot tall. Yeah. Usually try to raise them off the ground a little bit, keep the varmints from underneath so you can see the varmints, so cats and stuff ain't under there. Or something to dig under there and get them. But they're all.
But you live out in the country, right, sir?
Yeah, I live in the country, but all these other people that I talked about, these other cities, they live in town and they raise, they got a lot of birds. They live right
In their backyard or somewhere else?
They put it right in their backyard. That's where most of the lots are, everybody's backyard, yep.
Okay, thank you.
So obviously no action can be taken
Yeah.
today, but I said if you want to explain this to everybody on the council, by all means, this was the
Yeah.
night, this was the
Good
night to
forum
do
for
it,
it.
to get an idea whether we would or would not implement that in code is obviously not a discussion for here. Nothing would happen here, but at least there's an explanation for everybody, and that's what we discussed. But who knows if, that's something that council would want or not, but that's how this came about.
I called Corey a couple times and he read over it. He said, very interesting, very,
I knew nothing about racing pigeons. I'll admit to that.
yeah.
Not a word.
He said, it's very unique, I'll let this stuff here, and if you guys, I'd appreciate it, anybody goes over across it, and, what do I do to come to the next meeting, or how do we do this to?
Moving forward, we'll have more discussion, and obviously it's gonna be something that we'll have to discuss about changing the ordinance in order to make it, so that's something that'll probably take, I can direct some to Andy, I guess. What would you thought about a process about talking about an ordinance change would be?
And I can just stay in contact with you, Corey, right?
Yeah, or it could be, I'm just part of the city council, but it could be fellows, it could be administrator, it could be whoever, really. If I'm not part of that subcommittee that we talk about, then I'd read
Yeah.
the notes and explain it to you what would happen from that subcommittee also, so I sure can.
Okay.
It would be you're correct, Councilman, it would be a subcommittee level, most likely of the Planning Commission subcommittee and the City Council subcommittee that handles planning and zoning. So that would be something we can put on the schedule. I can't tell you today when that would be, but we can try to do that here within the next 30, 45 days or so to try to get that on for discussion at the subcommittee.
Okay, would be great, because you want to get it locked out so you can raise some young birds to fly this fall. Yeah.
And I will say that having a meeting doesn't necessarily mean that it would or would not follow through of making this an allowable ordinance or not. Having that meeting gets a discussion rolling on what this would look like and whether they would want that or not. But just so you know, it's still up in the air either way, and depending on what that subcommittee would decide would be kind of the direction of the way the city would go.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Shane, I don't know if this is
Yes.
helpful or not, but I went into the permits code database to look at those inspection reports for those addresses. And even, it's kind of strange with our inspection reports because we put the initial date when the first person put a rough-in inspection in. But then under each person's inspection individually, there is a date of when they put that in there. So the 10/27 one started at that point in time with, I think, Willie, but the mechanical inspection was actually done on 12/10. So there was no mechanical inspection done on 10/27. It was done in December.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's helpful at all, but I just wanted to let you know.
Can I ask one question on that quick, Val, though? So when he does his inspection report, does he list who performed that work? So in other words, their name wouldn't ever be on any inspection reports? Am I correct in that?
The inspection report, if I printed it out, let me see. So if I printed out the inspection report for 501 David, it's an inspection type of rough-in, the address, the date it was begun, the contractor, and the owner. And then it goes into the written report of Willie and Steve and Paul under all those things with the date that it was performed.
So it lists a contractor, but it doesn't list this, you said contractor, but you didn't
It
say
works-
sub.
Right, it's the overall contractor of who pulled the building permit.
So then that still falls into this issue of that 6 week, because the contractor's on that, not the correct sub other, in those notes.
Well, the contractor is RAADD Inc., which is the owner of the thing. There are no subs on it, on the inspection report.
So no subs are ever listed on who performed the work, correct?
Correct, on the
So-
inspection report.
So that still leads us back to that 6 week gap of anything
Well, it
could
goes
happen.
back to the note that says none has been done. They transferred over to 1028 and the inspection was done.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is, I mean,
Yeah.
we've
So-
had our discussion about, I see what you're, but the thing, like Corey, just to clarify for you, the report's filled out by the contractor and residential, and then they fill in everybody's, who's supposed to be working on the job, and the amount that they're, it's approximately gonna cost. That's how you get,
Contractor fills that
the
out.
contractor fills that out, and so that's what happened, they got their name put on there, and I think that's kind of where, and then once the inspections happen, when you're roughing inspections, you are no longer or never were ever associated with this project.
I mean, she's, on the report, like, for instance, here, I got the one up for 1027, Allen Electric, electric rough-in approved, Willie Nelson. On the mechanical one, it says advanced climate control, the changes that need to be fixed on 503, and Paul Sears inspected it, it says advanced climate control on that inspection.
Yeah, well, Paul wouldn't have known it wasn't you at the
Paul
time.
did know, because I called him on 11/3, and my insurance contacted him on 11/8. The inspection was done on 12/10.
Somebody was aware, we tried to stop it.
I think there's some things we'll-
So, yeah, so, well, I think everybody up here is recommending we work with you guys on this. I think that's the direction we're going, but we can't, like I said, we can't make a decision.
I'm just saying, stated in here what we want, I don't know that we can take anything less than that and not have neighbors on our board.
I went in and talked to Craig Lewis at the city of Grand Island, and he said to have Steve Norhuse call him. I called Steve's office.
Well, if you're gonna continue to talk, I'm gonna have to ask you to come up and address, and you have to sign in. I think what also we need to take into account here is this, they're following protocol like every other permit is issued and how it is changed during the project. You know, and not knowing your you've got quite a backstory here of what happened, obviously, with this project. And
Right.
without knowing your backstory, you really don't know why there's
Well, I
such
can give you
concern.
the whole backstory.
Well, yeah, I think I kind of get, you kind of
No,
get the,
you- Okay, I can back all the way up.
by how concerned you gentlemen are, I think I get your backstory. I'm in construction, so I know where you're coming from.
Okay, so your supplier starts calling you about an old employee that's trying to buy stuff under your name.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they're trying to wonder what's going on. Your supplier's calling you saying, what's going on here?
Correct, and,
Right?
But-
So then I start finding out, well, I thought I had those houses. So then I call up here and ask for open permits in my name. I get all 6 of these open
do you
permits.
see, okay, so that's the history of the project. We're talking just about how permits work.
Right.
You know, and
that's
how
what-
permits
and that's what I
work
started to tell you
is
is
during the
this-
middle of the process, they just X you out, put the new guy in, and,
In the city of Grand Island, they do it the same way you do. I went down, like I started to say, I went down and talked to Craig Lewis
yeah, yeah.
about all this, and he says the permits have to be reissued. In the city of Grand Island, it happens all the time. They will put in for a deal, they'll go to plan review, they'll have my name on the permit, and we're gonna start the project, and all of a sudden, no, I'm not doing that. So that permit is reissued with the other contractor's name on it.
Okay, in Grand Island, do you pull your own permit?
No, they're pulled just like yours, subcontractor.
You,
Again, I talked to Craig Lewis, and he said.
no, I mean, do you pay, do you issue,
Not
like,
when it's like a new house.
Not when it's
a new
residential,
construction,
just-
a general contractor
just-
pulls all the new permits.
okay,
But then
yeah,
but then I have to call for my inspections. Here, general contractor calls for the inspections.
okay. Well, I think as far as this evening goes, I think you've got a lot of your information out there. I think there'll be some more discussion on your gentleman's behalf. I don't think we need to probably go into any further detail, but okay?
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Councilman, I'll just address that briefly. I think what we'll do is we will assign this to myself, the city attorney, and the planning director, and we will work with these gentlemen to figure out a path forward.
All right. Okay, is that a reasonable way to, okay. Thanks. All right. Wow, that's all I gotta say for first time being up here. All right, anybody else?
Those are yours.
Seeing none, we are adjourned.
I do have for you to sign, though.
Goodbye.